is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are continuing and almost done with our top 100 games of all time. This year is for 2020, and this segment is 20 through 11. So 20 through the honorable mention into our top 10 games of all time. And I love these. I like doing these because it's better that we get to talk about way more games, and it's better than a top 10 of every year. You get to see drastic changes from going up and down. So this segment should be really good. I have 3 new ones on this list. Most moved up and only 1 fell.
Wow.
So yeah.
Mine's I have 2 new ones to the list. I had only 3 climbed. The rest of them fell. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of last year's top 10 have fallen into this area.
Wow, that's wild. All right. I'm excited to get to the top 10 then. But we have 10 new games, or 10 games to talk about that are still fantastic. And let's go ahead and get started with my number 20, which was 54 last year. So it rose quite a bit by 34 places. And it was 18 in 2018, so it only fell. And I think this is mainly because I took into consideration of how many times this game has worked and how awesome it is, and the concept of the game is just it shouldn't work, but it does, and I really like it. So and that is Smash Up.
There you go.
Smash Up is the one of the AEG that basically solidified them as a company and as a publisher, and they have since gone on to do a bunch of games that I absolutely love. They tend around card games with unlimited replayability, but they also have a few now and then that aren't card games. But this one, I think it's my favorite. I think it's my favorite AEG game. Yeah, because Edge of Darkness was way later back. Maracaibo was great, but didn't make the list, and then Thunderquest was a little further back. So this one, if you aren't familiar with it, it is a game where you take 2 factions, and each faction has a 20 card deck, and you shuffle them together, and yeah, then you basically play these cards and control different bases and be the first person to get 50 points. It's the most simplest of concepts, but the fact that there's, oh man, how many are there? At this point, I have the bigger, geekier box, and there's like 50 factions, maybe more.
I'm looking. Keep talking.
Okay. And they range from, aliens to ninjas to Cthulhu to, fucking kaiju, the Power Rangers, Star Wars, Star Trek. I mean, they don't have those actual names, but they are actually there. But they're like off-brand. It's definitely homages to those kinds of factions.
Okay, so it says as of the World Tour Culture Shock expansion, which I think was the last one.
The last one before. Go ahead.
Before Marvel, there's 74 factions. Yeah. So which combine to make 2,701 unique pairs of factions.
God, that is just insane.
Yeah.
It's just, that's so wild. It's just each faction combining both of them is radically different whenever you're playing them, and you hardly ever really go through your entire deck.
Unless you're like the Wizards.
Yeah, some factions are more prone to go through the deck than others, and others are more aggressive at taking bases. Others are more aggressive at killing. Others have various ways to get victory points. Almost every expansion has been like a hit. A lot of people don't like the Cthulhu one. I do like the Cthulhu expansion a lot.
I'm warm on it.
Yeah, it's a general consensus that the Munchkin expansion is utter trash. So I own it, but I don't know why. I will never play with those cards.
You must fill the biggest, geekiest box.
I know. Well, and then the newest expansion, which was on my other anticipated games, was the Smash Up Marvel, which is utilizing card art, which is good. It's not stock photos. and it's supposed to be a standalone thing. So I'm excited to see what that brings to the game. But yeah, I'm all for a biggest geekiest box with 3 tiers of cards. Who knows what? I mean, they're slated to come out with like I think 2 mini expansions similar to the sheep and the penguins. So goblins is one of them, and then I believe there's another that's slated to come out this year. So, oh man, it's wild. It's literally like the name is perfect. It's insane. So the reason why it jumped so high this year is because every time I'm doing like a game day and like with my friends and I bring this out, it's always a blast. Whoever's winning, it's always fun to play. So it's my number 20 smash up.
The app is really for this too.
The one like the
iPad app, like the iOS app.
Oh, like okay, like it actually plays the game.
Yeah, they don't have all the factions because it started with the base box and then added, I think, a couple of the other expansions and stuff. But it's not bad.
You're talking about the faction randomizer that like you just type in, okay, what kind of game do you want to play? You can do, and the number of players, and you just click start game, and it tells you, okay, player 0 is Crews and Pirates. Player 1 is Cyborg Apes and Astronauts, and player 2 is Killer Plants and Musketeers. All right, that's who you got, and this is the best way to do that. I've actually played in 2 tournaments for this. I don't usually do tournament gaming because my competitive nature becomes a little bit more like I get more stressed out than I really should. And the first one I actually ended up winning, and I won that that set that had the nice big playmat, and then I think it was the Titans expansion, which added like a unique. It's a divider, but you can put the divider out. I'm really wanting them to do that Titan thing for every faction because it's kind of OP if you that and you don't have one yourself.
I can see them eventually doing it.
Yeah, and then the other tournament I went to was actually at Gen Con. It did a round robin kind of drafting, which is really to do it. First person picks first, and then they'll pick last. But I believe every faction was available. And by the time I was sitting at the end of the table, and just because we showed up a little late, which is, nature for Gen Con, it's like you have events and you're like, oh, fuck, we got to go do that. And I ended up getting Tricksters and Wizards. And I'll never forget. I know. I'll never forget showing up to the game. And like, they were all talking about which ones they had. And they're like, oh, which one did you pick? And I'm like, oh, I got Tricksters and Wizards, and they're like, oh, you're an asshole. And I'm like, they were there. I did not win that one. I was more just annoying the game, and I kind of knew that. And I ended up winning. They had like these wooden like medals and you just got to pick, and I got the one that was meant for the Cthulhu one. So it was pretty cool. It was like a consolidation prize, what do they call those? Participation trophy, if you will. Yeah, those 2 were pretty fun. So Smash Up is my number 20 and will probably be higher on your list.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay, my number 20 you've already spoke of. It was a couple of sections back maybe. It was not on my list 2 years ago. It was number 10 last year. It fell off. Well, I would have said because I haven't played it for a while, but this list was made before we played it, and that is Vindication.
I was scrolling down.
Probably would have stayed around 10, maybe 15 after the play, but I'm excited for the expansion Kickstarter that just finished, adding all that story and extra theme to it, because the way the base game is right now, when you play it, you have to kind of work a little bit to inject some theme into it. The mechanisms are really strong though, so that's why this game is good regardless. But then when you're going to throw in the campaign, not campaign, but like the story type theme stuff with it, it's going to make it that much better. But this one's just, they went above and beyond with this Kickstarter. Initially, I got in on the second Kickstarter, and it has the metal little coin tokens that you move around, and all the miniatures that really don't mean anything for the base game. They mean more when you play with the expansion. And it's just, I don't know. I like this game where we played it at 3. It's good with 2, 3. The solos, it's serviceable. I enjoy the solo, but it's not the greatest solo in the world.
It's like you just miss. You're playing more cleanup than like actually exploring the world. So
yeah, you're right.
It's weird. This game. I mean, I know I'm kind of stepping in a little bit.
No. Go ahead. Go for it.
But you mentioned that you have to inject like your own theme into it, which is weird. That because this is a Euro game, and some Euro games actually do present that theme to you, but for some reason this game just doesn't. So I am very excited for the newest expansion.
It gives you the starting theme. That's the thing with this. Like it tells you, okay, this is how you got on the planet. You're rescued by this person. Now go for it. And then you kind of are creating your own narrative as you go.
I mean, it's more of just you're making yourself better. And it's like, but why? What am I doing? How am I making myself, redeemable? Why did I get kicked off the ship? When I first set this game up, you have a starting thing, but literally all it tells you is what number you start at on the map. It's everything else is the same. You're not unique in any way from the beginning, and I'm excited that will now be different.
Right.
You will be a different person.
And the reason that I like playing this with at least one other person is because it's cool watching your character evolve, and then, when we played, you threw the pets module in, which I hadn't played with before. And that was cool, and there's a lot of different ways to go in this for victory. Your manipulation of your powers, and then being fusing 2 powers together to get the more rare resources and stuff. There's just a lot of cool stuff, and it's not, this game is not very interactive with other players. No. It's mostly taking spots and limiting movement. But it's still, I mean, and I guess there is a couple of cards that could mess with people. They're promos,
but not like you're not. It's not a cutthroat game,
right?
You're not really getting in each other's way, except for literally for movement. You are getting, you could get in each other's way.
And it's just, I don't know what to say about this game other than, I mean, it just fits my kind of style, and it's one that I had played a long time before you, and I kept bringing it up. You had yours on your shelf forever, it seemed like.
I'm like, fine. And Kat and I really enjoyed this at 2.
Yeah, it works great at 2 or 3. I wouldn't go much more than 3, I don't think. I mean, I played it with 4 and it was fine, but I think you had brought it up about how the board fills out so fast. With higher player counts. So
the one thing I don't like about this game is the fact that the expansion, like the game trays, is phenomenal for it. But the expansion has its own game tray, which is really cool. But now you just have to have another box, and it's a small expansion, so it's like, I just have this tiny ass box.
I will tell you, I was following the updates and stuff from that last Kickstarter, and somebody did ask that question about the storage, and they said that they have a plan for it.
Awesome!
They have a lot more content that they want to get out before they decide to make
almost like an infinity box that Anachrony just did. Okay.
So it's coming. They have it planned. They want to get all their content that they have in their brains out
so
before
basically
they do it.
This is not the final expansion. Cool.
Nope. They said they have a lot of stuff cooking.
Good deal. I mean, more stuff for this game. If they can add I bet you money a campaign will be one of them.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Yeah. Well, I guess it wouldn't be cooperative, but I don't know. You could take it either way. But I bet that would be one of them.
I think putting a big campaign where you actually had a character that you could name, almost like a legacy kind of thing, where you name it, play through. Yeah. I don't
It
know.
would be, yeah, cool, because you could do it in a way. I mean, it's called vindication, so the point is to become a better person. But what if you don't want to? What if you like being an asshole?
Yeah, you just take over the planet and just be like the evil fucker.
The evil overlord, yeah. So there is a lot of opportunities here with expansions, and I'm excited to see where they go. That's good to know.
Yep.
All right. My number 19 is the first new one to this list. I guess I just didn't play it by the time we did the top 100 last year. And this has become, one of my favorite games. It is so much fun. Once you get past it's okay rulebook. And that is Reichbusters Project Vril. This is Mythic Games' best game in my opinion. It is. This box cover just goes to show. I mean, it doesn't really show anything, honestly, but how crazy the game could be. With every character being unique, every character having their own deck that corresponds to who they are and how they are going to play. The fact that there is a campaign to it. With small missions that you're going on, but then a bunch of other missions that are, I think they call them raids, which are giant missions. It's like every tile is being used to create the map for this, and you are trying to complete that raid's objective. The fact that every minion and boss plays a little bit different. This feels so close to like those missions in Wolfenstein where you can sneak around and you can assassinate people, but then also if shit hits the fan and they alert and then it's like, alarms are going off, then you're just guns, balls to the wall, guns blazing, and just slaughtering Nazis all over the place. And you feel like a badass. It's not one where you are running in and you get caught and then you're like, oh no, we're going to lose. Like you are able to go into a room and just like kill a bunch of like enemies without even making any noise. And they do have a noise mechanic in this game.
That's cool.
It's awesome. Like it's so much fun. Like the noise mechanic is you can go until like each door has like a noise roll that you have to make. And we mentioned with Vindication what game lacks of you having to really work to project theme into it. This one, it only enhances that. Like there's theme all over the place with it, but you as a person, it gives you that freedom to just be like, oh man, this is easy. Yeah, I can just I'm sneaking around this wall and I'm creaking open the door and then there's a bunch of Nazis sitting on the couch and then I have a knife that I can run in and roll and it doesn't make any noise, so I just like stab one and like dice explode, kill that one. I'm gonna play this card that lets me attack another one. So it's like thematically you can imagine like the guy at the top left, the guy from France, like you run in, knife one guy, shoot your bow and arrow into another, and then you don't make any noise, and you just killed a whole room of Nazis. And then the guy in the middle runs in, and he just throws a grenade in one room and blows up, and it like moves the noise track up, and you're like, what the hell? It's so much fun. The AI works out really well because they have a caution and an alerted state. So if you're running in, they can see you and then they'll be cautious, and then like if you do something else, then they'll become alerted and everyone else in that room will become alerted. So it very much feels like Wolfenstein, and that's why I had no interest in getting Wolfenstein the board game, because I'm like, This is basically that. Especially the new blood or the old blood Wolfenstein side game.
Old blood.
The old, yeah. Or yeah. It was like a magical chemical that they used to enhance their soldiers. That's what this game is. So you can have real weapons that are overpowered, but they can jam and lock and damage you. This game's fun.
Add this to the list because I really want to play this. This sounds like my kind of game.
Yeah, I like if you like Fire Team Zero. It's basically that, but not impossible.
Right.
To win. So it works really well for me. This was a game I had to go do a how to play for, and even in that how to play, I think I made a few errors, but someone was able to luckily correct it, and so
Right.
it's in the comments. But yeah, probably Mythic Games' best rulebook, but that is not really.
That's a low bar.
It is a very low bar. They are really bad at rulebooks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have almost no complaints about this. Like it's a blast. And I have everything for it. I have a bunch of characters. I mean the minis are amazing. Yeah, I have 3 boxes full of stuff. And actually another problem that they did was they sent out incorrect tokens. So I'm waiting for the errata pack which I think is on, or I saw like a recent update about it. So they do a great job of going back and fixing things without charging people for that. So at least their like their HR, not their HR, customer service is really good. But the fact that it has to happen at all still is kind of a problem. But yeah, that is my number 19, Reichbusters Vril.
Yeah, I really want to try this one. I think this is where Sam Healy works now as Mythic Games.
Yep.
This sounds like something that he would love, you know?
Right, and he probably went over there to help him out. Like, hey, by the way, guys, this rule book is garbage. Like, fix it. So who knows? I know I have Solomon Kane. I think I saw a picture just this morning actually about how some boxes are getting, like, the games are finally shipping, but they're running into logistical issues due to, COVID. So
Gotcha.
It is what it is. I'll get it eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least it is coming.
Yeah, for sure.
I know now.
All right. So my number 19 was number 8 2 years ago, was number 9 last year. And obviously it's 19 this time. And I think it's just because I haven't played it for a while. It's just one of those, I think, that would bounce around depending on play, like we've been seeing with a lot of other ones.
Yeah.
You just mentioned it not 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Oh, Smash
That
Up?
is
Oh, Fireteam Zero.
Zero.
Nice.
This one is one, again, I mean, it was further down on your list.
Yeah, it was.
But
yeah, it was actually up there. It was 97
or 90. Okay. This one is just it's just an awesome cooperative game with a unique theme. At least it was unique when it came out. It's been out for a few years, but there's been other stuff that's kind of mimicked it a little bit. This one is just pretty much, it's an alt World War II where hell is coming or is rising, and there's these group of 4 soldiers, the Fireteam Zero, that work together to it's like a scenario based game, and you're just going through different scenarios. The first scenario being just brutal as hell. The ones after that are better. That first one is just rough with those like spider looking things. Again, this is another one of those stupid games that I couldn't beat until you brought Kat over, and then we won. So Kat's kind of the lucky person, I guess.
She's our ringer.
Yeah. But
can't be the game. Bring Kat in.
This is one of those games where your hand of cards, each character has their own deck of cards, but as you go through the scenarios and campaign, you can level up your deck and make it a little bit better as well. But your deck of cards is your life, and it's also, the card is kind of cut diagonally in half, where you have an automatic event or a help event. And so you can help out on other people's turns, but you're also giving up a health or a card to help out somebody. So you have to make sure you're not going to get raped by the spiders,
by the spider creatures.
Yeah. But this company isn't around anymore. They did 2 Kickstarters for this game, came out with stuff for it, and then they just kind of went under. Which is sad. They have other campaigns. They have the European cycle and the African cycle, and they also have monster packs, which brings other families of monsters in that you can substitute for the monster families that are in the scenarios that you already have, to kind of give it more replayability. The thing with this game also is there's I can't remember what they call the little cards, but there's these little like monster ability cards that go, and as the game goes, the monsters get more abilities as well, and which just makes the game more and more brutal as you go. They did a good job with the story of these. I don't know how far into the scenarios you've gotten when you've played, but they do a pretty good job of their scenarios for the most part. The first one, you're just trying to stay alive and you're trying to get boat parts so you can get across the river. And then when you get the second one, you're trying to rescue a character and get them off the board, and stuff. It's very, very, very tactical. You have to work together. If you run off solo on your own, you're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it says at the bottom, squad tactics, and it's exactly that. Like, you have to work as a unit, a squad, to overcome. I mean, because you're regular people fighting abominations, monstrous abominations that just, I mean, can kill you like they would any other regular. So you succeed when you work together.
Yeah, and there's spawn points. All the missions have spawn points, and there's this part of the turn when you have to roll to see where they're going to be spawning, and they just keep coming and keep coming, and it's rough. And it's good because I play this solo mostly with with 2 or 3 heroes, but they also have that one little mechanic. Last thing I'll say, there's also these I guess you'll call them allies that you can have with you as well that add abilities that certain scenarios use. They have a different shape base. I think they're squared base or whatever, but they have these abilities that are very important that you need to utilize as well. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about this game for a long time. It's really good cooperative game. It's good luck finding a lot of it at this point.
Yeah, I got lucky.
But yeah, this is a wonderful game, and it would definitely be higher if I had played it recently.
Neat. Now, actually, real quick, each scenario, does it tell you which monsters to use?
Initially, yes.
Okay.
Like, you'll use the monster families that the scenario books tell you, but then those monster packs that you get, once you went through and once you want to play the next scenario, then you can be like, okay, I'm going to use this monster pack A here.
Gotcha.
And it just adds variety.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. My number 18 went up. Last year it was 27, but in 2018 it was number 4. So it's been moving around a lot. This is just because this game is long, but it is, in terms of big box Lovecraftian games, this easily supplants Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. Yeah, I tried to time it when it showed up.
Gotcha.
It didn't quite work. But Eldritch Horror is basically Lovecraft in a box. It is everything about that world that is all right here. I mean, you want to talk about a thematic Ameritrash game, you don't have to search any further than this one. This game is about overcoming, like trying to defeat and seal an ancient one before it awakens. And if it awakens, in this one, each ancient one actually has different cards and a different thing that happens if it does wake up. This one, instead of like Mythos cards, like an Arkham Horror 2nd edition or 3rd edition, where there was just a Mythos deck. This one is specifically designed to have clue cards and objective cards that tie into that ancient one. So it's a lot more grounded in who that ancient one is and what they're about. You have the threat deck is a lot different. It's for each elder one. It is, okay, well, this one might have a lot more rumors going around. This one has harder yellow cards versus the green ones, where that aren't as bad. This one, it's funny because I used to really like the confinement of being in Arkham, which I still like with 2nd edition. 3rd edition just doesn't quite do it as much. But this one still has the tensity, the fact that you have to, a lot of stuff is happening over in Tokyo, so you need to, fly or take a train, or you don't fly, go take a train or take a boat to get to Tokyo to try and deal with what's going on there. My favorite thing about Arkham Horror and the Lovecraft games is you are playing regular people. You're not heroes in any way, waitress, or you're a gang leader, or you're a psychiatrist, and you've been somehow wrapped in through the mysticism and lore into this kind of world. So I guess you could be called chosen because for some reason you're involved in all this. And yeah, there is magic, but I really like how magic works is that it's not like casting spells has a cost to it. You have a sanity meter, you have a health meter, so you can go insane and you can take physically. And what's really cool about Eldritch Horror is that if either of those happen, all your stuff is dropped and people can go and actually have an encounter with you that has a story thing on the back of your card of what happens when they come babbling random shit as an insane person. You get a bunch of items that help you, a bunch of spells, bunch of relics. You can go. I mean, there's just so much to this game. They said it was supposed to fix what Arkham Horror Second Edition did, but they bloated this one. But it's still more refined. A lot of the expansions are still more smaller, and they did what's something different called the prelude, which you draw a prelude, and that one will actually kind of give you a different setup, and that stack is like insane. And some of them will tell you, oh, add this side of the board, or add this expansion to it, instead of you putting it all in together and it becoming a mess. I mean, yeah, it's just there's so much to this game that I could go on and on, but ultimately it's a very hard cooperative game of you working together, going across the world, trying to stop an ancient evil from devouring or killing a bunch of people or devouring the world. So it's I wouldn't ever. I mean, one of our friends had mentioned he'd played this at 8. Oh my god! Like that's. I mean, that sounds like an epic time, and I would definitely set up a day to do that. But that'd be like another thing where Twilight Imperium, it's like, okay, well, we have to set up a day to play 8-player Eldritch Horror because it would be insanely long. So, yeah.
Well, I have never played. I've never played this.
Really?
But I would like to, since I've gotten more into Cthulhu stuff. So you can add this to the list.
Gladly. It's honestly great, really, at any number. I mean, max I've done is have I done a 6-player game for Arkham Horror Second Edition? So I think I've only done max 4 with Eldritch. And
I'm wondering how it would be solo if you just play a couple heroes. You think
you'd be fine? I mean, it's really no different than a lot of other truly co-op games. This one actually would be a little bit easier to do solo because you like each character does have special abilities, but it's a little bit more manageable because you don't have to like with Fireteam Zero, for example, you don't have to hold a hand of cards and then like try and read everyone's hand of cards and try and figure out combinations. It's all just right there. And when it's their turn, it's just like, okay, boom, what do they have to do? So
I'm kind of excited to try this one out.
Awesome. Adding it to the list. We are sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 27 games total that each of us need to try.
All right. Well, that'll work. All right. So my number 18, you just talked about on this list.
Smash up.
Yeah.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, so it's pretty close to your spot. It was 11 2 years ago. It was 16 last year, so it just fell 2 spots. I really don't have much more to say about this. I mean, we both have pretty much everything for it. It's a great game. You're going to find those matchups that don't work as well sometimes, but again, this isn't a serious game. It's just funny to screw with people and stuff. I'm the guy that loves the zombies, the zombie everything. But yeah, they haven't been putting out stuff as fast for this. Like they used to put out 2 little expansions a year. I don't even know if they put out much. That Culture Shock may have been last year. I can't remember, but they've been working, I think, with the Marvel, and then I don't think there's anything announced really, except for those small expansions, like you said, the mini faction expansions. But they better get to work to fill up that box so they can get the next box out.
I know, right? Yeah, the Goblins is the one slated for this year. The latest one was 2019, which was Penguins. If we're looking at actual, um, I guess they're all kind of, they're not showing up as expansions under Smash Up, so that's annoying. Like the four box sets.
Yeah, because the Culture Shock was the last expansion.
Yeah, that was 2019. Actually, International Incident and Culture Shock came out in 2019.
Oh, okay. So they didn't put anything out in 20. So which was the first year I don't think they put anything out since the game came out. So, we'll see how it goes though. But yeah, this is just always going to be one of those great games to have. It plays the best with 3. I think you would agree.
Oh yeah.
4 is too crazy. 2 is too simple to get to the end and stuff really. But 3 just kind of works, is the sweet spot.
It's weird at how much it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like one person is like, okay, on my one action I can just drop, I can control one base. You're trying to take over multiple bases at the same time. So it's like in a lot of competitive, area control 3-player games, one person is either in the middle and getting fucked over, or 2 people are going at it and one person is left alone. This game is just amalgamate, like you're just all over the place. So everyone's being attacked at the time.
So yeah, that's my 18 Smash Up.
My number 17 will definitely be higher on your list, but it is new to my list. I don't think I had played it by the time we did our top 100, and this game just keeps getting better and better. And with the newest expansion coming out this year, I can honestly see this game actually breaking into the top 10. So, and that is
yes.
Card game. Yeah, like I said, I hadn't played this last year for our top 100, so it is technically new. And this game has just become like every expansion that comes out, I'm just like, oh, gotta get it. Like every hero that comes out, gotta get it. I need to see how they play, how they work against all the different villains that are coming out. And at first, I was slightly worried because there weren't a whole lot of cool villains that were available, but they kept releasing heroes, and I'm like, man, I mean, there's not really a good balance. But then they did their Rise of Red Skull campaign, which just added 5 villains to the game, and I was like, oh, okay, here they are. And then added 2 new heroes, and 2 more are slated. Actually, 4 more. It's supposed to be Wasp. No, 3 more. It's Wasp, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch are the 3 that are slowly coming out. But I haven't heard anything after that. I think the next one will be the I already forgot. The Guardians of the Galaxy one.
Yeah, the name of it.
Which will be, which will have Rocket and Groot, and then the 5 villains for that one. So the story for that Rise of Red Skull was so much fun. The 5 different, the progressive campaign, which was just those 5, and it's like boom, that's it. Where you got to get a little bit of upgrades, but not too much. You weren't like reconstructing your deck or at all. You can do that in this game. You can completely deck build depending on the hero. I don't. I just keep with what their pre-built decks are, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. Each character is unique in and of themselves with their specialized, 15 cards that get shuffled into kind of who they are as a character. It is fantastic. I would say this game is best with 2 or 1, but 2 at least gives you someone to talk to and bounce off of. I would not play this game any higher because then because the villain just then has a bunch of health, but it doesn't really offer a whole lot to warrant having that high health, but it works perfectly with 2. And the combinations of the different heroes or the different champions is so much fun. Like how whenever you and I played against, did we do level 3 Claw?
Yeah, it was 2 or 3. I can't remember what we ended up doing.
Yeah,
but you were Black Widow, right? And I was Iron Man.
Yep, we were playing Black Widow and Iron Man, and it was touch and go there for a while. Like it was pretty challenging, and finally got us through that. Then we started getting a good groove in. So you have different ways of becoming powerful. Every deck has at least one way for you to do one big mega hit of damage. You have to get the perfect cards and perfect setup out, but it is possible. This game is just so good. Like, obviously, it's my favorite Marvel game. It is above Marvel Legendary, which I don't remember where that was at. It was 81. So, this one just holds a lot more theme and makes you feel like an individualized person with something special going on. So, I'm excited to see what they do in the future, how they utilize the different cards. Ant-Man was already an amazing inclusion of how they're going to be different with the different heroes. I hate how they made his card because it just is shit, but the idea is still really cool in how it works. So yeah, that is my number 17, Marvel Champions, the card game.
Yeah, this one, I like the aspects part of it too, because you can mess around with it and change their aspect. You know, like my favorite to play right now is Justice Iron Man and stuff. But you can go, I think it's Justice, Leadership, Protection, and what was the strength?
Well, there's aggression.
Aggression, that's the other one.
And then well, I think there's 5, but I can't think of the 5th one.
Yeah, I can only think of 4, but anyway, so you can change it up. You know, you can play different versions of your heroes, and just to mess with it. You know, with it being the Fantasy Flight LCG, being able to deck construct is one of the cool things for me because I like deck construction as well. So, but yeah, no, good choice. This probably might be higher. I can't recall.
You can't
we'll
remember.
We'll see.
Is he lying? He cannot remember.
Siri. All right. So my number 17 is a game that you need to put on the list.
Okay.
It was 18 2 years ago, 21 last year. It jumped up to 17 just because it's a good game. It's out of print right now. And that is Blood Bowl Team Manager.
Gotcha.
This one this will always be on my list just because it has there's like a smash up feel in the fact that there's locations out there that you're fighting for. Just like in Smash Up when you're trying to fight for those locations. But you're going to choose a team, whether you like the humans, the Chaos Warriors, the Orcs, Dwarves, whatever. And so you have your basic deck, and then you're battling for these highlights that are what's out in the middle of the table. And there's a football that's on those highlights when you first play. So there's different symbols on the cards that when you play, it'll give you possession of the ball or whatever. So, and everything's seems to be worth victory points in this, or fans. That's what victory points are.
Oh yeah, neat.
So you have like little dials for fans and stuff, but you fight for these highlights, and then whoever has the most points wins. You know, like there's rewards on each side of the highlights, and then you get to win that. So you could win fans, you could win team upgrades, you could win like draft upgrades where you can get another player out of the deal to add to your team, and like superstars. So it's got a little bit of deck building in it as well. When you recruit those new players, they go on the top of your deck, I believe. But you play through like a season. So there's and then culminating with the Blood Bowl at the end, the big one. And then you calculate how many fans you have, and that's how you win. So your deck, you'll add a few cards to your deck as you go. You'll have these upgrades that may give you in-game scoring, different stuff. When you play cards out there, it may have a tackle symbol as well. So that's when you have to roll these 2 dice. And depending on who you're trying to tackle, if you have more points that are more strength than they do, then you roll those 2 dice and you get to pick the result that you want. If you're equal strength, you just roll 1 dice and whatever happens. If you are less strength, you can still try to tackle a stronger person, but you roll both dice and have to take the weaker of the 2.
Gotcha.
And then if you tackle them, you turn their card sideways. And then if you try to tackle somebody that's already exhausted, then they're injured and out of the game.
Okay.
There's a cheating technique, or a cheating element to this. Certain factions like to cheat a lot more than others. And if you cheat, then you put there's this pile of skulls tokens that are over here that have something on the back, but they're all randomized. So you just pick one up, put it on your card, and then before you score each location, you have to flip the cheat tokens. And some of them just automatically eject them out of the deal, so then their points don't count towards winning that location. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on. It's a fun game. You can't take it too seriously. It's just stupid fun, and it throws a little bit of football in there as well. And it's just kind of a neat little card game that I went and somehow, I don't know how the licensing got through, but I went to that playmat company. And there was a file somebody made that had almost like this box cover on it, and it has all the locations and stuff on the playmat. And I went through and I printed one off, and they went on ahead and printed it, even though it had all the Blood Bowl and all that stuff written on it. So whatever, but I have this cool custom playmat that has all the locations and everything for it.
Well, in the format, like, I mean, I guess the company could. Never mind.
Because there's trademarks like those.
The licensing matter, but I see now.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's an awesome one. It's a super fun game. I have both of the expansions that are out, and it'll never be made again because Fantasy Flight and Games Workshop split. Yeah. And that's that.
All right. How many teams are there?
Oh my gosh, I think there's. I want to say 6 or 8 in the core box, and then each of the expansions adds 2 or 3. Because there's the vampires and the zombies are one of them, and then another one adds, I can't remember right off the top of my head because it's all mixed together for me. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but yeah, it's good. I'm always lame and I choose the humans.
Whoa.
Yeah. But each faction has their strengths and stuff too, so it's kind of cool. Some like to cheat, like the Chaos Warriors. They cheat like crazy because they love chaos. So your cards are just loaded with chaos tokens and stuff. It's just crazy. But yeah, it's a good one for sure. Blood Bowl Team Manager.
All right, added it to the list. All right, my number 16 has risen significantly. It was 38 last year, and it was 25 the year before. And I think this is just because one of those, like, I did play and recently for us in this hobby is like within the year. And especially when I run the channel, I'm constantly trying to get new games. And it is an idea that should not work. It's a gimmicky idea, but man, is it just so cool and works out so well. And that is Millennium Blades. Millennium Blades is, at the bottom, it says it's a CCG simulator card game. And that's if you have ever been in a collectible card game and done tournaments like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic or Pokemon, it simulates that type of style. There's 2 phases into the game. The first phase is the real-time element of it, which it's like you have 3 rounds in that phase of like 10 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then 8 minutes, a 30-minute real-time, where you are paying money and to buy packs of cards, and you are constructing a deck. And so you're trying to find a good deck holder, an item. You're trying to find cards that are for the meta, where it's like, oh, okay, for this tournament, the meta is fire cards. And so fire and military. So that's the kind of cards that you might be searching for. And you are just drawing cards to be able to figure out the best 8 card deck to go into the tournament, which is the second phase. Eventually, you will most likely run out of, and that's when you're like, okay, what can I do with what I have? And that's simulated super well. There's so many different packs, and you just take a bunch of them and you shuffle them into a market, and that's what's available. You can trade cards with one another. That's also part of the real-time element. You can trade cards. You can sell cards to get money back. You can buy cards of what people are. You can offer favor cards, which give people additional points. And to try and warrant, it's like, okay, look, if you have a higher value card, I have a lower value card, but I'll also give you one of my favors, and we can trade for that. So that's the first half. Then you go to the second half, which is the tournament, and you are playing one card at a time, and they will score you ranking points, depending on which type of tournament. You usually do 3 tournaments, and it's like, okay, well, like, and they combo off, or you hope that they combo off one another, where you just can get hey, if this is the leftmost card, then you get plus 50 ranking points. There's some cards that are like, if you play a straight, so like cards valued 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you get a shit ton of ranking points. And how at the end of the tournament works is you have whoever has the most ranking points gets the most victory points, and it goes like that. And then at the end of 3 tournaments, whoever has the most points is the winner. There's so much to this game. I cannot wait to get my collusion stuff. That is basically what BattleCon Unleashed was, that combines all of it together. There's rare packs, there's semi-rare packs, each character has a unique ability of the real-time phase as well as the tournament phase. They have unique decks that you start out with. I'm amazed that Level 99 was able to succeed in a game like this, because it's virtually a CCG in and of itself. But it's not. You can buy everything out there, and it will replicate that idea. So the designer was the guy who runs Level 99, Brad Tall. So, I mean, the way that this game is balanced, I'm just, mind blown with the project and the undertaking to it. So, I mean, without going into the nitty gritty of everything, this game is fantastic, and my favorite Level 99 game, and that's Millennium Blades.
I really want to try this too.
Cool.
Because I like that whole card tournament stuff like that. So this is one I would buy if there was a solo aspect to it, but I'm not going to buy it since you own it.
Well, the one thing I should bring up is the idea of combat, because obviously in Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or anything, you battle other players. Well, whenever you have a clash in the, you have your two whatever cards, the card that initiated the clash, and you pick another player, and their latest card is what you're clashing against, and both you draw the top card of the market deck, and you just add up their I think their star value, and whoever has the highest one is the winner. It's nothing too great, but it's nothing too debilitating either. Some cards you gain ranking points if you win. You might flip over a card of an enemy if they lose, and flipping it over means that it just won't be counted in the end game scoring for ranking points or anything like that. So, but it's never anything hugely game breaking or anything. But some decks you can make could be all about clashing, and it'll be great for that. Some are all about set collecting. Some are all about I couldn't even tell you how many different ways there are to play this game. I mean, It's no different than you building a rat deck in Magic the Gathering, and I build a deck all about guild gates and winning without ever dealing damage to someone. So there's just so many different ways to play this. I love it.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Well, it is.
All right. So my number 16 is new to the list. It was on your list down a ways.
All right.
And I am taking into account it and all of its expansions as well. And that is Hostage Negotiator.
Nice.
As you may or may not know, I'm a solo player.
You like solo games?
And this one, I don't know why I didn't jump on this, because it's the base game's been out for a while.
Yeah.
And I for some reason I just kept passing over it. I don't know why. And then the Crime Wave expansion came out, and I kind of went and I bought all the stuff for it. And when I did that was after the career Kickstarter was already over. So I just played it this year and everything. So then I found a Kickstarter collection of the crime or of career, played all that stuff. Career was an awesome bow for this game because they're not making any more Hostage Negotiator. They've already said that it's a done now. Getting ready for Final Girl. But anyway, this one is just awesome because it's one of those themes you just don't see. You're a Hostage Negotiator. I don't know if there's any other games with that theme on there. But the solo aspect is awesome where you're buying cards in your hand. You put them back. There's a whole time element to it. You're rolling dice. The career just adds all the theme to it where you're making choices and your personal life comes into play and all this awesome stuff. And you can play through an entire 10-year career in a matter of a few hours. It's, to me, Van Ryder Games, this is it. I mean, this is their best. I know they make a lot of good games and there's a lot of games I like. This is the best one just because it fits my gaming style with the solo aspect and all of that. And they have tons of different criminals out there right now that you can, if you get all the packs and all that stuff. I mean, there's just tons and tons of replayability and all that. They even have extra threat cards that you can exchange out and make different threat decks and doing all this different stuff. They've done a really good job with this one, and that's why it debuted at 16 for me. I don't know where it'll be since there's no more content coming out. May hang around. Final Girl may leapfrog it depending on how that ends up playing at the end. But for right now, Hostage Negotiator is my number 16.
Cool. Yeah, it was like 97 for me. Okay. It squeaked into that, which is rare because I think it's the only solo game I have on the list.
Right.
So, all right, my number 15 is the only one on this list that has fallen, but not by much. Last year it was number 10, and in 2018 it was number 13, so it's still hovering around there. It is a phenomenal game that does this concept better than anything that I can actually think of, and it might actually even go up now of the newest expansion, and that is Acrony. Oh boy, this was probably the first heavy game that I played. At the time, I remember this being on Rahdo's. He was doing a prototype of it, and I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like it's for me. I don't even know what prompted me to get it, but I'm so glad I did because this is so good. It is essentially a game where you are trying to survive the apocalypse for a fact that the is coming to an end, and you are prepping for that the theme is you are, once the world is ended, who will be the faction, the guild to actually rule afterwards. And whoever has the most victory points at the end of the game will be that faction. So you utilize different types of workers, go into different spots on the map, on the board, and some workers can do things way better than others that they'll come back and they won't be tired. Others will come back and be tired, and then eventually you'll run out of workers to use, and you have to decide how to wake them up. It's like you can wake them up with water, which is good, and then you won't lose morale. But if you wake them up with electricity, then which you have to be you can always wake them up. If you don't have the water resource to do that, then you could still do that, but then you're going to lose some morale. So it's an worker placement game. The fascinating of this game is that there is a time travel element where there's a phase that you can request resources or workers or other people past, and that's basically the timer, is this track of different resources. And so you take these tokens and you place them on this track and you have them, which is great, but you can start causing paradoxes. Now each time whoever has the most tokens there will roll a paradox die, and if you get enough paradox tokens, then you get a tile that gets placed in your little personal area, that'll be negative points if you don't get rid of it. And to get rid of it, you have to kill someone. You have to send a worker there, and he will die. But you get rid of the token. But you can build buildings in your tile that can send you back. So you have ways to eventually go back and get rid of that initial tile. It's you taking that resource and being like, oh, by the way, we've got to put this water back where we got it. It's fascinating. There are a bunch of expansions for this game. The latest one is one that I need to try, and it also came with the Infinity Box, which is a storage solution for everything, because there is quite a bit for it. It is a busy game, but I think it is a manageable game, being taught right, and each faction plays different. They have different objectives, because there's a phase where eventually, I think it's like something shows up and you have to have completed your faction's personal goal for you to even claim like the fact that, okay, hey, I've done what I needed to do. And then there's a end game objective, end game points that I always like. I always love games with end game victory points. So it is a fantastic game, and the solo is the best one that I've ever done. It truly felt like another player was playing and moving around the map, and it felt like a two-player game. And so it didn't hinder me in any way. I was still able to do everything that I had to do, and the AI played exactly that same way. So I think initially the complaint was that the AI, the solo variant, couldn't play with certain factions, but now with the expansion it can. So now you can play solo with every expansion available. So yep, that is my number 15, Anachrony.
I keep bouncing around on this one. I don't know. I don't
know if you want to try it, or if you don't know if you like it.
I just don't know. I think I need to force myself. I think I need to force myself to try it, because the theme sounds awesome, but I'm intimidated by it on the other hand. So it's just one of those things. I think I need to just sit down and play it and see what happens.
I have it. We can easily play it together.
Yeah. So, because it's cooperative, right?
No.
It's competitive.
Competitive.
Okay. Yeah, I might try it sometime.
I'll put it on the list.
Yeah. All right. So my number 15 was not on the list 2 years ago and was 30 last year. I kind of hinted around this game a couple of lists ago as being my favorite game with the Machikoro mechanic of rolling dice and getting resources and stuff, and that is Valeria Kingdoms.
There it is.
This one has my good artist in it.
Worst artist.
But pretty much this game, especially if you have all the expansion stuff, there you're going to put cards out from 1 to, I want to say 12. Yeah, it's 1 to 12. But if you have all the expansions, you have like multiple 1s to choose from, multiple 2s to choose from, and all that stuff. And you're going to lay those stacks of cards of whatever you choose out on the table. Then you're also going to have like domains are going to be out on the table and on all these different things. And then monsters. You're gonna pick different monster groups to put up at the top. And you'll go through and defeat them as you go. But what you're doing is when it's your turn, you're going to roll 2 dice, and you get to choose with this one whether to take, like, let's say you roll a 3 and a 5. You can take a 3, a 5, or an 8. So you get to choose. So you get 3 options of what to purchase. And when you buy that thing, it goes into your tableau, and you can have multiples of those, because then when other people are rolling dice, things fire as well. So you don't have a shortage of resources in this game. It seems like by the end of the game, you have tons and tons of resources, and you're just blowing them and everything. So it's just one of those things. There's so much stuff going on, and you're not really short of stuff. You're buying all these cards, things are firing off. And then you're using those resources to buy those domain things, which are some of them give you one-time special abilities, some of them give you full-time special abilities. You also start the game. I don't know. I can't remember if this is a core game or an expansion because I put it all together. But you choose I can't remember what they call them. A person. You choose a person that's has an in-game scoring special ability. You get dealt like 2 of them, and you get to choose one of them. That stays secret. And then you're also defeating these monsters, which will give you bonus, victory points by the end. And as you go, the monsters are layered from weakest to like the boss. And so you're just defeating these things all this way. Some of them you get like the boss when you defeat the boss, it may be like for every monster of this symbol that you defeated, you get X number of victory points, So you may want to stick with one kind of monster and go through that. But there's so many monsters groups to choose from as well to put out there. So if you have everything for it, there's just a ton of content out for this. There's another one of their bigger expansions that should be coming out at any point. It was a Kickstarter, but they always put their stuff out in retail as well. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games that Daily Magic Games has created in the Valeria Kingdom. Mm-hmm. I've only played a couple of them. This one's my favorite just because it's super simple to teach. There's always something going on. Because I think the coolest thing with this is there's no downtime. Like every time somebody else rolls, you're gaining resources as well. Yeah, so you're constantly seeing, getting stuff and passing it along. Yeah, this is just a really cool, simple mechanic game that is just a blast to play. Yeah, and it's probably always going to be on this list.
Right. This is one that I actually want to get a hold of, especially with my recent love for, high variety, pick cards and play the game. It's going to be different cards you pick. So this is one that I'm definitely, out of all the games that are kind of like, Machikoro or Space Base, I think this is definitely my favorite one. Because I played all of them, and Machikoro was boring. Space Base was okay. This one just has that same idea, but there's more to do.
Now, did we play this together?
Yeah, I won.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if we did or not.
Yeah, it was me, you, and Kat.
Okay.
So, yep, I dominated. I don't know if we finished it, though. I think you actually had to, leave, or you said you had to leave because you were losing. I don't know.
That's what if we made that list of games that I love to play that I never win, this would probably be on there because I just don't win at this game. It's but yeah, this is just a superb game, and it's not super expensive either. I mean, they have a big box that you can buy. It's just the box that holds everything in it, everything. Right. So
I just need to find someone full set they want to get rid of because I don't want to try
it won't be me.
All right, my number 14 is my last new list, and man, is it just a doozy. Skyrocketed up here with everything that comes with it, and this was a game that was one of the latest ones that we did for the 10 from everyone, and that it's been a while since that's happened, and that is Yido, the deluxe set, the deluxe master set, to be exact. I never actually played the original Yido, so I had just heard about this. But man, is it just so freaking good. This game is one of the closest in terms of the points that I've seen in a long time, where it was like a difference of 8 points to second to third, and so on. It is so cool. So if you don't know, it is a worker placement card game. You are placing workers around in different sections to basically get resources that you need to complete missions, and you are trying to avoid this guard that's roaming around and that he can arrest your workers, but you will always have at least 2. But you have mission cards in your hand that range from green to yellow to red and then to black, and obviously those scale up in difficulty of what weapons you need, how much money you need, if you have a Buddhist token, or if you need to have workers in a specific area. It is just everything is manageable. Everything is like you can see what you need to do and execute it and be happy with what you are going for. You can go for different end game objectives that will get you points. It's just, and the deluxe set is just gorgeous. The art is amazing. Each faction or each character can have a unique ability. The same idea that I keep bringing up is the different combinations of cards. For the mission cards, you can go for different themes, pick different cards. For event cards, you can pick different card combinations. For the player cards, you can go for different there. It's just, it's perfect. We really had no complaints with it at all. And there's a bunch of different expansions you can add in as well, besides everything I just mentioned. The game also comes with a solo or a cooperative variant, so that's another one I need to get up on the channel because I haven't tried it yet. I'm probably going to do it instead as a cooperative game instead of solo, because I'm interested to see how it is. But what's really neat is that there's two ways the game can end. If there's a timer, like a round limit that the game will end. But the other one is that there is a card in the black deck called Kill the Shogun. And if you actually end up finishing that, the game will end. But it is hard. It is very hard to actually do that on your own without people trying to, they're basically helping you out. And if you complete, you get 14 points, which is a lot of points. It's this is not a high scoring game at all. Every time you're getting points, it's just gaining 2 points is huge. So I love it. This game is fantastic. Oh, look, Board and Dice. Look at that.
And David Turk's solo mode.
Yeah. So it is.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say it is amazing. So
yeah, this one I played the original. I haven't played this one, obviously. I need to play it again because I played the original a handful of times, and then I never could get it to the table. It didn't have a solo mode or any of that stuff. So I can only imagine what this one would be like, since they probably tuned it up a little more and everything. So yeah, that's a good one for sure. All right, so that was a good pick on number 14. So my number 14 hasn't showed up on your list yet, so it makes me wonder if it's obviously going to be higher or not. It's brand new to my list.
Not even on the list.
It is the first, I think it was the first Blacklist game that I played. And that is, why is it not turning? There we go. And that is Street Masters.
Nice.
This one, and I haven't even played a lot of the new content, so, and plus I bought all the other stuff I was missing off their Indiegogo thing, so this quite possibly could go up.
That was nice.
This one at this point is my favorite Blacklist game of all of them. Even though the theme is I'm not super big on this whole Street Fighter stuff, but it doesn't matter. This was my first foray into the modular deck system. They have so much content for this game out right now, with the huge storage box they have that's just crammed full of crap. Again, lack of dice that got fixed in that deal. But yeah, this one pretty much you can play it multiple different ways. There's the whole character story mode that you can go through, or you just pick a scenario, pick a bad guy, pick a enemy group, and then you pick your heroes and you just go for it. It's generally I don't know what the count of the size of the tile. I don't know if it's 10 by 10 or whatever on the squares, but
that sounds right.
Yeah, you drop a tile, you put the components or whatever the card tells you to do. There's a little objective that you're trying to complete, and you go for it. Every character has their own deck. They also your character card is double-sided, so you can flip it when they're super focused, which lets them do a super powerful one-time thing. It's just nuts. I mean, there's so many characters and so much content. They've even made expansions that turn the bad guys into good guys. So they had to make decks to turn the bad guys into good guys. It's like there's just so much to play with in this game.
Yeah. And if you get the compendium, you get backstory on every character in every faction. Really? I mean, it's wild, like Mortal Kombat or anything. If you try to read up on the lore to those games, you're just like, you get like whiplash with how like wild you're just like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it's just nuts. I mean, they've even put the Saddlers even have themselves in the game as characters.
They do.
Yeah, so it's like, but this one is one that I saw a lot over the last few years. And people would put it on some lists here and there, and I'm just like, that theme I'm not too sure about. But then I went on ahead and took the dive from somebody and bought an entire Kickstarter collection from them, and I did not regret it at all. It's a great, super fun game.
Yeah, whenever we played it, I was like, oh man, I have to own this game because I like this theme a lot. It's based off of Street Fighter, which is not my preferred 1v1 fighting game. I mean, Mortal Kombat is, however, it's still really cool. It's probably out of all of them my second favorite. And then luckily, it just goes to show how awesome the Sadler brothers are, because I was able to reach out to one of them and get the stuff that I was missing, because he had stuff lying around and he was like, oh yeah, man, if you want to just, shoot me over. I mean, he obviously sold them to me. He didn't just give them, but he gave me a good price on all the stuff that you weren't able to find. And he went above and beyond, helped me out with Brook City too. So they're awesome. And I reached out to them for Alter Quest, like as well, for extra dice and the first heroes. And he was, we don't have our hands on any of that stuff. Yeah. So, which I was like, of course, couldn't hurt to try. So yeah, this an awesome game.
Yeah, and it was their first foray into the MDS system.
Yep.
So and it was so successful, that it's hitting several of their other games and being
essentially like trademarked it. Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, my number 14, Street Masters. It's a super fun game, and it's fun to play solo as well.
Oh, good.
Just play it.
How'd the app work? How'd the app work out?
The app.
You had the app, didn't you? I thought there was a.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, am I like having a like a?
Yeah, I was a playtester on the final version of the app, and it plays identical to the game. I mean, okay. it has the character story mode as well as the deal. The version I played just had a handful of characters, and scenarios. It didn't have everything, but It's pretty much the exact same thing. You roll the dice, you have your deck, it displays your hand of cards out, and it's pretty much playing the game. I mean, it's pretty solid.
Neat. All right, good deal. So there you go. If you want to try this game, there's an app for it.
Yep.
All right, my number 13 is my favorite Mind Clash game, barely beating out Anachrony. I go back and forth on these two, so who knows which one's going to be ahead of the other at any given time. It actually rose. Last year it was 26, and in 2018 it was 71. Wow. So I believe last year it actually had the collector's edition come out, which had expansions for it. But I think at the end of the day, I really like this theme just a little bit more, because it's not really touched on a whole lot. And that is Carrion. This one is specifically the collector's edition, but Carrion Legends of Illusion. They did a fantastic job with this collector's edition. Everything. I mean, what they didn't do was really tell you how to store things. But there was a guy who did a video on it, and I was able to follow that. But this is a game where you are a stage magician, so you don't actually magic. You are doing like Penn and Teller foolish shit, and I love that. It makes me think of The Prestige with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, and that movie is just so good. All right. Yay for internet going out. So to pick up where we left off, you had mentioned that you'd never seen The Prestige, and you should definitely watch it. I think you would really like it. But That's what this game basically is. You are competing stage magicians, and you are going from. I mean, you have workers technically. You have yourself, and then you have assistants, and then specialized assistants that have unique abilities that you send out to different areas, and they have a certain number of like strength, really, I guess, or whatever the correct terminology is, to decide who goes first if they go to a particular location. It's basically to give you first dibs, and like you can go up into the town to get money, a loan from the bank. You can get new spells that you can work on. You can go to another area to get items that help you, that you need to actually cast these spells. And then other different areas like the Dark Alley expansion adds like unique abilities that you can get. And it's really cool. You can go to the theater and you set up like your cast, or basically your assistants, to help out with performing these tricks. And each trick, basically, you have a token that will denote, it's one of the 4 aces. And so this spell is going to be your spade spell. And that's basically just to show, because they have these, what do they call it? It's not ledgers. It's like when you go to a theater and you see what's going to be performing there.
It's like a program.
Yeah, program.
Yeah.
And so you essentially will take other tiles that will correlate to that particular spell, and you'll slot it on this program that will, and you're trying to maximize the amount of points you'll get for the spell that you're performing, because each spell will give you a certain number of victory points as well as money. And depending on when you perform Sunday or a Thursday through Sunday, you will actually not gain as much money. Like if you go on Thursday, yeah, you're going to get to perform first, but no one really cares. Like no one's going out onto a stage on a Thursday. But Sunday, ooh boy, everyone wants to go out on a Sunday, and you'll get even more money if you go, but you're going last, because people can choose a program that they perform on, but they have to be actually there. So it's kind of a control element over which program you want to go on. And what's really neat is that your victory points, kind of like what you mentioned with Blood Bowl and Team Manager, is their fans. Similar idea here. It's your victory point moves up on the theater seating. So the higher you are, that means the more people that are coming to actually see you.
Gotcha.
The newest expansion that came with this, with the collector's edition, added like a school, and that was pretty complex because you had 2 ways of schooling. You could have students that were underneath you, and then there was also like another one where it was like, I think you were actually teaching. So, and there are different ways and benefits of teaching certain tricks or selling certain tricks. It's a really cool expansion, and it added another unique assistant. I just think this game is the bee's knees. It it just does everything that I really like in a game like this, and it's my number 13. I can't really explain why I like this one over Anachrony, besides it just comes down to theme, really, because they both have their like the mechanics of both games are so great,
right?
That this one theme does it for me right now. Because I mean, what's another cool thing is that the resources you get, that you assign them to a particular trick, but they're not spent. So I mean, if you have a rope, it's not like a real magic trick like in D&D where you actually consume that item to cast the spell. You will always have that rope to use.
That's handy. Yeah. That's not us. That's handy. That's always good. That
right.
Deal.
Like you don't always have to go to the shop, but there are higher, like the higher tricks, which like, so you have, it's like level you need 1 point, 16 points, and 32 points to do the high, like, so once you get 16 points, then you can start performing more advanced tricks. Once you get 32 points, then you can do the best kind of tricks. And those require a bunch of components, but they're going to reward you with obviously more victory points and more money for doing it. So you're not going to always be doing the butterfly trick over and over. Eventually, you're going to go into higher level tricks, and there's different schools that you can go on. And you as a magician will have a special character that specializes in a particular school. So you have unique player powers as well. It's just really cool. And the upkeep really isn't that bad, like having to pay for your assistants. You don't have to, like if you, I mean, you lose a popularity if you don't, but like you don't even have to send them out. If you don't send them out, then you don't have to pay them, and it's just awesome. So that's my number 13, Carrion.
All right, I know that's a popular one. I've never played it, but
would you like to?
I don't know. If I mean it's kind of on that same plane as Anachrony.
Yeah, you know what? Since you make the drive up here, if I just have it set up, I mean,
yeah, you never know.
You have no other choice but to play it or drive back down.
I'll just flip the table.
If you flip this table, I would be more impressed than that. Just they'd be like, all right, we'll play whatever you want, man. Don't tell me.
All right, my number 13 was probably my highest rated game that fell out of the top 10. It was number 4 2 years ago. It was number 3 last year.
Okay.
So it fell to 13, and I will say it's not because of the game. It's just because I have not played it in quite a while. And that is, why is it not turning? There we go. Demons of Midgard.
Dang. Oh, okay.
Still 13. I mean, it's still.
This was not the game I thought, but
okay.
Interesting.
Still, like I said, still 13. Top 20 game. I love this game. I just haven't played it in a while, and I have some doozies coming up that have made big jumps. So something had to fall. This is one of those games where you are. It is worker placement. You're gaining dice, and you're using those dice to fight the troll, fight other monsters, using them to gather food. When you throw in the base game, I really enjoyed too, but then when the expansions came out, really amped it up because it added a couple other boards. The Valhalla expansion is probably one of the best expansions to come out in the last few years.
It's so good.
It just adds that deal. So like, what's always sucked about this game, the hardest part to get for players to get over was ultimately you're rolling dice, and you fail very easily on certain things. If you failed, you had dice died, and then that was it. And it's not the super easiest thing to build up your dice pool in this, especially if you're playing with more people and those spots are getting taken. But what happens is when you lose dice in this deal with the Valhalla expansion, then you get these little tokens of that same type that died, and then you get to use those tokens to purchase cards out of the Valhalla track that are like super powerful, have different effects and stuff. But so it gave you kind of an alternative, which is something that most Viking games have started doing decent with the whole Valhalla thing. Like with Blood Rage, Valhalla was a big thing, and stuff like that. It's just being able to utilize that Valhalla aspect, I guess, creatively is a big thing in Viking games now. But a
huge component to the Viking mythology.
Right, exactly. And games have used it differently, like just with this one using a currency to buy more cards that do something, and then Blood Rage, of course, it's just getting more points and odds and ends. But in this game, you're going to get hidden objectives that give you points at the end. There's a lot to this game. I think it's a beautiful board when it's all laid out and everything. The art is cool. The other expansion, the Dark Mountains, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
It is okay. That one's fine. It adds another place to go and fight monsters, and you get to. It adds in another dice.
Hunters, they get you like more food, I think.
Right. Well, and they also, because the arrow, the archer attacks work against certain monsters a little bit better and well too. There's a lot of cool stuff with this. Definitely. I mean, it can be played with 2. It's got to be at least played with 3.
No, it actually can't.
Well, no, I mean it can because I played.
Brad.
It's just
don't lie. This game cannot be played with 2 because you will want to kill yourself.
It's just one of those things you just have to like go in expecting that you're just to take the max negative points for the troll and call it good, and not even worry about it.
Which is a huge component. It's literally the sole reason why I hated this game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. At the max, you're only going to be, I can't remember. It's not a ton of points that you're negative off the bat. I like what I've started doing with this game is I don't give a shit about the troll. I'll take all the negative points. I would rather just start with those negative points off the bat, forget about the troll because I just concentrate on traveling and killing monsters because that's where your big points are. And I win this game more times than not, just because, part of it's just because I'm a lucky dice roller, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, it's 3 at least is the best way to play this because then there's a little bit of stuff. I mean, 4 is solid. I've done it with 5, I believe. But this game, again, it would probably be in the top 10 if I had played it. It just hasn't hit the table in a long time.
Right.
Especially in 2020 when games that need at least 3 or 4 people aren't hitting the table at this year.
That's true.
If I hadn't played it before March, then it's those kind of games aren't going to get played.
That's true. Yeah,
so,
good point.
So anyway, my 13's Champions Midgard.
All right, neat. Yeah, this is not on my list, but I can say it probably would make it if I owned it, which I don't. I mean, everyone who wants to sell it, its Kickstarter edition with the expansions want to sell it for a ridiculous price, so I don't deem it to be worth. So
yeah.
All right, my number 12 was actually number 12 last year, so it is the first one to have actually stayed in its spot. And in 2018, it was number 14, so it has been near the top 10 for so long. And I actually just played a 6-player game of this, and it's so good. Like this, it is Leader Games' best game, and it's not even close to Vast, and that is Root. A game of woodland might and right. Vast is a steaming pile of shit compared to this game. This game is so fantastic. Every faction, I mean, the game is it's an asymmetrical war game where each faction plays radically different from one another, and how they score points, how they craft, how they reinforce, how they move, how they kill. It's just everyone has a unique special ability, and I could not tell you how many times I've played this game within the past couple weeks because the people I taught it to want to play it all the time, which is great. I have never gotten tired. Like, we just keep swapping characters in and out. With the latest expansion, the Underground, I think it was the Underground Duchy. No, that's one of the characters. God damn it. The newest expansion is the Underworld expansion. I believe every faction here, is balanced in some way. And what they did with this latest expansion was they basically included terminology, which each faction has a certain amount of points. And for the number of players, you need to play with factions that add up to that point value to create the most balanced experience. Because some factions aren't competitive in any way. They score points, some through other people, and you need those types of characters there to make that faction work. And others are a little bit more aggressive, where you get points just from killing and destroying other people's pieces. So it varies, but I really like the fact that they added that system in there. Otherwise, people would just be grabbing the 4 factions they want to play, and then they'd be like, oh, I don't understand why this isn't working. We're not even attacking each other. So, my favorite faction out of all of these is actually, it might be the Lizard Cult. They are one of the coolest ways of getting points. Every time their characters die, their pieces die, they become acolytes to perform conspiracies, and those conspiracies are like how they move and how they place gardens and things like that. They're a lot of fun. But I've played almost every faction, and I have a blast with every single one of them. Like I said, this game is radically different than anything I've ever touched, and each faction is a blast. The stigma is that this game is hard to teach, which I guess is kind of true. But the way I teach it is I give everyone the staples of like, hey, here's how crafting works, and here's how movement works. Here's how you generally will gain points. But then I'll just teach the person, here's how your faction works. Like it even says on the back, but it's like, here's how you're going to gain points. Here's how you play, and then I'll move on to the next people. So it's like you don't have to be bogged down in what everyone can do. You just have to really focus on what you can do. Man, I don't say this for a lot of games, but max players is 6, and it's so much fun even with 6. Like it's a chaotic war, but I mean, it's a blast. Like I love this game, so it's my number 12. Root.
I did not mind this game. I've only played it once though, once at 4 players.
Okay.
So I didn't. I need to play it more just to see how it goes. I played the cats.
Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad game at all. I just needed to play it more.
Yeah.
Just see how it goes.
Awesome.
All right. Oh, go ahead. So my number 12 has been on my list a long time. It was a former number 1 several years ago.
Oh, okay.
It was 10 last year. It was 10 2 years ago. It was 22 last year, and it jumped up to 12. The only reason I can think of is because I played it online a little bit to keep my love for it going, and that is Netrunner.
There it is. That's the game I thought was Champions of Midgard.
Gotcha. Yeah, this one, like I said, it was 22 last year, and it jumped up. I think it's just because they've maintained the online presence of it, so I've got to play it online a few.
Yeah.
Because this game is still a thing. I mean, the fan community. There's these people that were big in the Netrunner community back before it shut down, and they made the Nisei division is what they call it, and it's Nisei something, the Nisei whatever. But they kept it up, and they've been making cards still and printing stuff. So they keep it going. I got rid of my collection because it's one of those games that once the game stopped and there was 0 competitive play around here, there was no reason for me to keep it because nobody played this game anymore around here. I
would have played it.
So I
wouldn't have owned it, but I would have played it.
Yeah, and I got offered something like, I think it was like $700 for my collection. Oh, wow. So I just sold it. I mean, it was a simple decision.
Yeah.
But especially since I keep the online stuff going, that helps. Pretty much this is a asynchronous 1v1 game where you take turns. When you play a match, you have to have 2 decks. You have to have a corporation deck and a runner deck, and you play each side of that against your opponent. And as the corporation, you're trying to score 7 agenda points to win or kill the runner or flatline. The runner is trying to steal 7 points of agendas from the corporation. And it's just one of those games. I played this game from the day it came out competitively and with pretty decent success. And it was a very sad day when it died, but it's Fantasy Flight competitive LCG, so it's going to die.
Yeah, I remember you called me and you were like obscenely crying, and I was like, what is going on? You're just like, ah!
No, it wasn't it wasn't an abrupt it was kind of people saw the light at the end of the tunnel. It was coming just because they ruined it kind of with how they were doing stuff.
I've asked this before, but it's kind of a 2-part question. Which side did you enjoy playing the most, and which side did you win at the most?
I would say as a beginning player, playing the corporation is easier because there's bluffing and all the knowledge is in your hands of knowing what cards are face down and stuff. So it's easier to do that. So at the beginning of Netrunner, and probably all the way until the end, corporation was my favorite, just because I like the bluffing aspect and you can set traps and all that stuff. But towards the end, like the last probably third of my competitive career, I guess, if you want to call it that, the runner got pretty cool. There were some cool runners that came out.
Oh, I see.
It's really all over. So I won more as a corp easily.
Okay.
just because
Yeah,
I was
I
sadistic in my
really,
deck. I was sadistic in my deck building for Corp. I was a very, very mean player.
yeah, I really like this world. I think that, I mean, Cyberpunk is one of the games that came out last year to varying degrees of success with its basically unplayable thing unless you have a high-end PC, which I do, so the game's great for me. But I really like that theme, the fact that it's like, I mean, it's sci-fi, but it's not like unrealistic sci-fi like Star Wars or anything like that. I like the idea of every corporation is just corrupt and you being a part of it. You can either be a part of that or you can be on the outside of a rebellious group.
Yeah.
I really want to try the cyberpunk RPG because I just really like that idea. And this was a game, of course, that I was never ever going to get into because at the time when it was popular, even whenever we first met, I think it was still popular at that time, but I just wasn't going to spend the money because I didn't like games like this.
It's hard on these competitive games. It's hard to get into. I mean, that late, that was one of the problems. That's why competitive ones eventually fail. It's just because they, but yeah, I am holding out hope because the mechanics and all the mechanics of this game take the theme away from it. I love the mechanics of this game. Everything about it. There is not one thing I dislike about it. And they still have that out there.
Okay.
It's WotC still has the mechanics with them.
I don't get that. I don't get how you can copyright mechanics.
I don't know. You can't, but I don't know the whole deal. I just know that Android universe and them split when they parted ways. They did not want Android part of it at all. So Android can't be with those game mechanics. So I'm waiting for somebody to release another game. I was hoping deep down that Cyberpunk was going to be. That was what the rumors were, is that Cyberpunk was going to come out with a reskin of this game.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to come out because this is such a successful game mechanically that just to come out and do something, whatever the theme is. They could even change it to not take away the cyberpunk part and try to come out. Just the mechanics were perfect for this game.
Yeah.
In a competitive environment. And
the theme makes the mechanics, I think.
Kind of. I mean,
I can't think off the top of my head something that would make any real sense.
You just have to change the lingo. That was one of the other things that made this game tough was they changed the name. Like it was not a discard pile. It was your archives if you were the corp, or it was your stack or not stack. I can't think of the damn term right now if you were the runner, but so every deck had their own, like it was HQ was your hand of cards, and all that stuff.
And that shit's always annoying.
Yeah, but
especially whenever you're first getting into the game.
Yeah.
Like every
it
game
makes
wants
it
to
thematically.
Be unique.
Because when you're running, like the runner, you're going to go in. I'm like, okay, I'm going to run HQ. So it makes it's just like instead of I'm going to run your hand or I'm going to run your discard pile, it's like I'm going to run your HQ. I'm going to run your archives. It's just change it.
True.
But anyway, enough about that. This is one of those dead games that it'll hopefully come back in some other form at some point. But it's still always probably this is kind of your talisman. It's always going to be something
it'll always be on the list. But granted, my talisman fell way more than your Android did.
And this one, because it was 22, it had fallen to 22 last year, and it probably would have been in the 40s or 50s if I hadn't played it online some more since in COVID world, Yeah.
Yep, that's true. All right. And the last one for this segment, the honorable mention that just didn't quite make it into our top 10 games of all time. Mine is one that you have actually mentioned. I don't believe it was this segment. It was the last segment. And it was 16 last year, and it was 11 in 2018. So bounced back and then bounced right back up to being just on the edge. And it is my favorite deck builder out there, and that is Aeon's End.
Oh, yeah.
Aeon's End is the perfect example of a deck builder in my mind. It is so cool and unique in that it the fact that you do not shuffle your deck, the fact that you get to control the order in which your cards are going in. When you buy a card, it goes boom into your, I mean, it goes still into your disc. But then when you play out your hand, that's how your hand is going. So whenever you flip your deck over, you boom, here it is. Oh, here's the combination that I set out to be a badass right now. And then you draw your next hand and it's garbage. But you're like, well, I had a cool hand previously. And just the sheer amount of nameless that you fight with, I mean, each of them play different. Each of them have their own unique cards that get shuffled in with some basic cards that could go in any deck. But the cards that are tied to the nameless are very thematically tied to them. Every one of them play different. Every one of them are even, I mean, some of them are incredibly hard. Others are a little bit more manageable. There are just so many cards game that you almost have to utilize a randomizer, which they come with randomizer cards that you shuffle for your gems, your relics, and your spells. The cool, badass combinations that you get. I mean, the gems are used for you to be able to purchase other, the relics and the higher end spells, but the character has a unique player power that you have to spend some of the gems to actually charge up. Later expansions utilized more of the cooperative nature where you can help each other out a little bit more than just trying to do your own thing. The Legacy deck or the Legacy expansion was not worth it. I don't really like it, but it does kickstart a pretty interesting story, which is continued in the other two, the New Age and then Outcast were the two newest ones where they did mini series that just add more nameless. It's immaculate. And I mean, I know you mentioned it when you talked about it, but that initiative deck is so cool. I can't think of another game that does that. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's been touched on somewhere else, but the fact that like it's just you take in a 2-player game, you have you have a token that says you're player 1, another person has a token that says 2. You have 2 player 1 cards and 2 player 2 cards and 2 nemesis cards or nameless cards, and you shuffle that, and it's always stressful on who's going next. And it's like, oh dear God, okay, if you go, we'll win. If it goes, we'll lose. Damn it! Or yeah! And then you pop off all those spells. It's just such a cool, strategic, fun, difficult cooperative deck builder. And it's my number 11, Aeon's End.
Yeah, the very first time you introduced this game to me, it came down to that card flip. There was 2 cards left in the initiative deck, and if the bad guy card popped up, that he was going to win. If ours popped up, we were going to win, and ours popped up. That's what sold me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's so good. There's so much to this game that I love. So, it's my number 11, Aeon's End.
My number 11 was 17 2 years ago, and it was 6 last year.
Okay.
So it slipped just a little bit, and it's because I have 4 brand new games in my top 10. God, so I think that's why I kind of back. And that is Raiders of the North Sea.
Slowly falling out.
My favorite Shem Phillips game over any of the ones I played. I haven't played Viscounts yet, so
you'll probably still like this.
Yeah, I'm sure. This one is it was what caught me with this one was the interesting worker placement aspect to it, because the board is seeded with meeples of different colors, and you're going to place, and you start out, you'll only ever have 1 worker on your area. You're going to place a worker, and then you pick up a worker, so you get 2 actions. But it adds that extra layer of strategy to it, because what you're picking up is opening up a spot for the other people playing the game to jump in and take. So you kind of have to balance. You just have to kind of balance your what you're taking and what you're getting, and then you're eventually going to build up enough resources and stuff to be able to raid across the sea, and you'll start with the closer areas. So when you raid, you're going to get you'll place your worker, pick up a worker, obviously, but then you're going to get the stuff, and there's different stuff you'll gain. Plus there are my God, Valkyrie, the Valkyrie tokens that will kill. If there's one Valkyrie token, you're going to lose one of your people. 2 Valkyrie tokens, 2 people, whatever. But with the amount of people that you lose, there's a Valkyrie track that you move up on, which will also give you points at the end of the game. There's a lot of different ways to get points. You may want to be up on that track, so you may want to jump in if you have some fodder to just get rid of off your deal. Yep. You're also going to be gaining people into your tableau that you'll have different abilities and strength. Because when you're gonna roll for strength, when you raid, you're gonna roll for strength as well, because there's different numbers that you have to reach. So you're gonna roll dice and then add to your strength of your sailors, your Vikings that are sailing. I think the game goes until a certain number of the highest level settlements are rated at the top.
Yeah, I think so.
But then your expansions add a couple of different boards and different stuff to it as well. I think the thing that I like about this is just it's a simple game to teach, and I like worker placement so much that unique place a worker, pick up a worker, being able to get those 2 deals, and like I said at the beginning, the extra layer of being careful of what you pick up to open up for other people is just one of those deals. Plus, again, this is the second game on this list that has one of my favorite art styles, the Miko. But
it's like his board art is awesome.
Yeah,
his people are abominations. Like if you saw those people, if you saw people who looked like that in real life, you would think we were invaded by some unknown creature, and you would shoot them. Like they are ugly. Now he got. I mean, Raiders has pretty decent people art. I think he just went insane with the latest ones because Architects is okay, and then just Paladins is fine, and Viscounts, it's like these are grotesque monsters.
Yeah. The thing that really put this game on this list and keeps it this high is he came out. This is his first foray into this, these worlds. Because this one had this first trilogy was Raiders of the North Sea, Explorers of the North Sea, and Shipwrights. Right. Those other 2 are okay. This one though, he made a deck that was a solo deck, and I bought it, and he shipped it overseas and all that stuff. And this was kind of the precursor to the solo versions that are in like Architects and Paladins is a little more complex, but this one just adds that. It's just an awesome game. I of course, I like Vikings, so this one fits that style better. So yeah, I mean, it's just a superb worker placement game. Nice. It's pretty art. Like the board is really nice looking, and
it's always vibrant, rich colors. So I mean, this one is, not my favorite, but I don't consider it bad. I think it had a few elements that I didn't really care for in a worker placement game, but it's definitely not my least favorite Shem Phillips game. Obviously, if I had to rank them, it would be Viscounts, Paladins, this one, and then Architects. I haven't tried his Circadians. What is Circadians?
First Light, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I backed it, and I was like, I just haven't touched it since.
Did you play Shipwrights or Explorers?
No.
I haven't. I did once, but they were okay.
So yeah, I mean, this one, it's fine. So, but that's it. That is it, everyone, for this segment. The next one is the granddaddy of all top 100 games. That everyone really just cares about. I mean, no one really gives a shit about the 11 through. But yeah, next segment will be our top 10 games of all time, and it's sounding like they are drastically different from the 2 years previous. So I'm excited to see what is on there for your list, as I'm sure you are excited about mine. I hope. But that's it, everyone. Stick around for the top 10. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.